Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Walkthrough Wednesday. We're going to move on to the Chevelle here in a second, but first we've got this super cool Thunderbird that's a friend of my grandfather's. For 20 some years he worked in the pits with him, so he dropped it off yesterday, and basically we're just going to redo the brakes and get some springs and stuff for the back of this thing. He had a little issue when he was driving down the road, and so we're going to get him some new parts and fix him up and get him back on the road for his shows here soon. We've made it over here to restorations now. We told you guys we were going to do a little piece on the Chevelle, so Witcher oversaw a lot of this project. What you got for us, Witcher?
Well, this is a really cool project. We started at another shop. A little of the fabrication work was started. A lot of the platform that it sits on was started, but we finished it, and we have a ton of even fab hours still in it after the previous shop started. So it is it's not your typical Chevelle. We've had a lot of questions about what this car is and what year it is, because the rear bumper has 4 tail lights, and a 1970 Chevelle wouldn't have had that. The rear bumper was done at the previous shop. We were like, well, what are we going to do for tail lights for it, because they're custom. The whole rear bumper is custom, and so we made the tail lights for it. We actually made patterns, sent them out, had circuit boards printed, soldered in the LEDs, made the lenses, the housings, everything for the taillights. That's a full custom deal. The car had so much custom fab work when we received it, we couldn't check up at that point. We couldn't put a stock grill in it. We couldn't put stock anything in it, because it was taken to the next level. I was going to narrow the front bumper on the car. I held it up there and kind of got to look, and I'm like, I think I can build it. And the king came in when I started it, and every day for like a week when I was working on building that bumper, he was in checking on the progress. So we made the front bumper, made the lower valance, made the grille, and that was kind of inspired off of the rendering that Bradley had drawn for this car. On that rendering, I think it had the kind of the matte finish paint and all. So we actually went off the rendering and tried to build the car just like Bradley had drawn it.
So this is basically a full custom.
It is.
Chevelle.
Like even the chassis, it's a Roadster shop chassis, independent rear suspension, carbon fiber drive shaft, Tremec 6-speed, LSX 454 engine. It is a modern car with a 1970 looking body.
Looking body, yeah.
So
technically it's a 2021, 2022 car.
Technically, yeah. We got forged line wheels. They're 19 by 13 wide on the back. I think with a 355/30 Continental on it.
Okay.
Fronts are 18 by 10 with a 275, 285, 35. I can't remember exactly, but forged line wheel wrapped in Continental tires. So she looks mean, handles pretty good. The independent rear suspension, that's a really, really cool thing that we haven't done in the past. Most of our stuff has solid axles in it on the builds.
Did you enjoy putting like the Holley EFI stuff on it?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we do on a lot of cars, and so it's kind of, I hate to say old hat for us, but we do a lot of those. It makes it really nice, start up. No carburetors, you don't have to pat the gas, and there's no trick sequence to it like there is on some of the old cars. So
yeah,
you basically get in it, and this doesn't have a key, it's got a button, so you hit the button and it fires up. So
and it makes the dash look cool.
Yeah, and the dash. You say the dash, we actually made the dash in this car. It's a steel dash that we fabricated here. It kind of takes a lot of the styling of the 1970 Chevelle dash, but we put the Holley digital dash in it. Probably the same thing you ran in the ARCA car.
Yeah. The
same dash configuration. So it's pretty cool. The customer wanted all touchscreen, all kinds of electronic stuff. So that's got an Alpine touchscreen stereo in it. So it's a lot of cool stuff. The interior is full custom. Our interior guy does an awesome job. He made the back seat. Like the back seat is nothing out of the original seat frame. He made it from scratch. A lot of work in the interior. A lot of detail that went into that, down to the blue stitching in the seats. So bad thing is the customer's only still seen it in pictures.
Yeah.
It's ready for him to pick up, but he's kind of a busy guy, so it's waiting for him when he gets ready for it.
You want to look under the hood of this thing?
Yeah.
So all this work right here you did, right?
Part of it. Part of the firewall was started at the previous shop. We finished it up. The air intake is actually, from the cowl. You know, we've actually got the intake on it turned around backwards. Most of them, the throttle body's sitting up here up front. So the air cleaner is actually sitting underneath the cowl. But we finished up the firewall, all the inner panels, made the front panels here. And we tried to kind of make this thing real stealthy, especially with the matte finish that the car's got on it. You know, all the, you know, semi-gloss powder coated radiator, you know, engine components. So it just, there's not a shine that pops to it. It's just kind of, everything's muted. You know, we tried to make the under the hood really clean. You know, all the air conditioning hoses, heater hoses, they're hidden between the fender and the inner fender, which we made all the inner fenders for this car too. That's why I wish you could see underneath it, because like I say, it's as detailed under as it is on top. You know, all the coils are mounted back up under the cowl, and you just have the wires coming out really nicely loomed together. So just tried to make it just as neat as we could make it. It's actually too nice to drive.
It looks like
nervous wreck when you
scared.
take the thing out on the road. It's kind of a bad feeling. It's like the coolest car ever, and you're afraid that a deer's going to run out in front of you, or a rock chip, or anything like that. So,
yeah.
Because we have had the deer run out in front of a car on a test drive here before. All right, some of the custom stuff we've done on this car is not just under the engine bay, but like I say, we made the splitter, the bumper. Like a lot of people that come through the shop say, well, is it fiberglass? I'm like, no, it's metal. It's all steel. A magnet will stick to all of it, and even the grill. You know, we made the shell, made the inserts. You know, welded and panel bonded all that in. Made all the grill screens are, you know, stainless woven screen. Even the brake duct holes. It's pretty cool. Let me hit the switch, and it'll show you how we did the marker lights in it. Because we still wanted to have turn signals. We still wanted to have marker lights. So we've got the running lights here with the halos. But you can see how the marker light kind of diffuses off of the screen, and it just glows in the brake duct holes. We just mounted an LED up, and it kind of glows and reflects. So, and the signals work.
Yeah, that's cool.
Actually, if you want to come around back, let's look at the back taillights, because the taillights are really cool too. But they're smoked, so when the lights are off, you don't see a thing. It's just like a black hole there. Like I say, we just made the patterns, put the LEDs in it. So brake lights, turn signals all still work on it too. They just get brighter. So like you did the fronts.
Sweet.
You know, there's not another set of them in the world.
Yeah.
You know, the inside of the trunk is all, you know, custom. Behind that panel, we've got Alpine amp, Alpine sub goes with the system. So we tried to keep it clean inside and out. All right, we hadn't looked at the inside. Let's go check the inside out.
Yeah, let's go check it out.
You know how to get in these door handles?
Not really.
They're a Kindig door handle, just a smoothie. So you just push in at the back, pull out at the front. And there you go. So it kind of just clean the lines up on the car. So the doors lock automatic. You push in that one will lock as well. So all your comforts, power windows, power locks. Everybody asks us what the red button is for. It's a reverse lockout. You know, instead of wiring it into the speed sensor, we thought it'd be kind of cool to put that. Like, so most people use it for a nitrous button. Ours is this override for the solenoid to make it go in reverse. Resto Mod Air. All the controls are actually in the center dials. You hear the compressor kicking on.
Yeah.
So there's that controls like the air fan speed is this one, and then you know, whether it comes out the vents or dash or floors right there. So it's kind of cool. It's clean, kind of modern. So it's got the touchscreen stereo, interactive dash. You can change different settings that you want. You can program whatever gauges you want in it. You'll kind of think this is neat. The pedals in it they're wheel wood, just like what would be in, like, say your late model car was. So it's got dual master cylinders where you can, you have to adjust the balance bar to get your brake bias right on it. That part's pretty cool, kind of race car-ish.
It looks like you fabricated the pedals a little bit.
Yeah, the pads that were on them, the pedals were hung in the car when we got it, and there wasn't enough room to get my 13 in there, and I don't know what size shoe the guy wears that drives it, but my foot would hang up on the brake pedal when I was going to the clutch, so I had to make those pads to give us some more room, some offset. Still may wind up putting some grip tape or something on them, but I kind of like them smooth so you can slide on and off. But,
yeah.
That's going to be one of the things that he's going to have to tell us what he wants, what he doesn't want there. But, push button start. It's got the e-brake's electronic. You just push the button here, and that does the brake. But the brake will only apply when the car's off, so you can't hit that button while you're going down the road, and the e-brake come on, because it's actually got an actuator that pulls the brake, the emergency brake on. So 2
buttons on the dash.
Oh, the buttons are here?
Yeah.
This is your dome light, which our doors are open, so the dome light's on.
Okay.
And that's why it's lit up with a ring around it, because the dome light's actually on. So it comes on when the doors are open, or if the doors are shut, you touch that button. That actually turns the headlights on.
Okay.
So everything lights up blue. We kind of intentionally did all the blue LEDs to match our petty theme.
Yeah.
So, but that's your high beam indicator there, and
okay.
So the dash is pretty cool, how you can program it to make all the systems work through it.
Yeah.
You about have to have somebody smarter than me to operate it, but you can do it. So yeah, it's a very nice car. It's probably, I would say it's the nicest car I've ever worked on. Definitely the most hours, the most custom work of any car we've ever done.
We talked earlier about looking underneath this car. You want to throw this thing up on the lift?
Sure.
All right, we've got this thing up on the lift now. Why don't we go under here and check some of this stuff out, and you can tell me what it is.
Okay. Well, the fuel tank is stainless steel. It came with the car. Our guys here welded the mounts on it, fitted it to the chassis, routed all the filler hose and all that good stuff. Our guys here also made the exhaust tips that come through the lower bumper. They're one of a kind, one-off deals, all made out of stainless.
Like you said, it's all custom, right?
It is. I mean,
all the way down to the exhaust tips.
Yep. When the further we pan down under the car, the more custom you'll see. We put 2 charging ports under here. It's got 2 batteries. It's got 2 Odysseys in it.
Okay.
But it's got an electric trunk popper. If the battery goes dead and the doors are locked, you can't unlock the doors because this thing doesn't have a key either. You can only unlock it with a fob. So if the battery were to go dead, you'd be in a pickle. So we put 2 charging ports under here.
Okay.
So you can charge the batteries in case something went wrong. We try to think down the road a little bit on these builds. We don't always get all the kinks worked out, but we try to think ahead a little bit. So.
Tell me about this suspension. It looks like it got powder coated, or?
Yeah, we powder coated it. It's an independent rear, which a lot like what's on the Cup cars now. We don't have a transaxle like they do, but it's independent rear, so it's very similar geometry to what's on the front. Handles really well. It's different than your usual Chevelle. The center section of the rear end has got a Ford 9-inch gear in it. One of the interesting things, cool things, one of the difficult things in the build, if you will, we got the car and we're like, where are we going to put a fuel line on this thing? I mean, because it's so busy, frame rails, floor pans, there's no room to put a fuel line anywhere under the car. So actually, we made a hard line that's got a bulkhead comes through the floor back here.
Oh yeah, I see that.
With a fitting on it. It goes through the car and comes out at the front of the tunnel, and you hook another flexible line to it to go up to the fuel rail. So there's there's a hard line run through the car for the fuel. So there's just nowhere under here to put it. So you don't see it inside, you don't see it outside. It makes it real clean. So I mentioned this thing had 2 Odysseys in it. We've also got 2 cutoff switches, one for each battery. So lots of safety involved there. If the car sits and is stored, we don't want a parasitic draw on it. It's got all kinds of anti-theft devices.
It's similar to like what you'd see on a boat or in your late model,
even
or
in your race car.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just an on-off. It's not like your race car would have a 1-2 and off. But yeah, that was one of Mitch's ideas. We just put 2 in there, and they're hidden and out of the way. But you can still access them. So, what do you think about this chassis off of it.
This is pretty sweet. Talk to me about it a little bit.
Well, you know, it's definitely brawny, if you want to say that. It's stout. You know, the roadster shop. All right, back to it. The roadster shop does a fabulous job. I mean, their chassis are really nice, and I mean, this thing is so stout. The whole car as a whole is pretty heavy, but you definitely don't have to worry about frame flex or
I'd say not. This
anything
thing's
like
pretty
that.
solid.
And the cool thing is nobody will ever see this, but under the carpet, how all these ribs are in this brace right here.
Yeah.
The floor pan's step rolled, just like
the
it.
same way. Oh.
Yeah. Nobody will ever see it because it's all covered with carpet and foam right now on the inside. But the details.
You saw it.
I did, and the details are that much. You can see it here if you look up in that panel here.
Yeah, I can see where
You
it's
can see
stepped.
where it steps. So,
Yeah.
like I say, every one of these ribs is stepped like that too. So it's as detailed of a vehicle as you'll ever see. So.
Well, let's get up here to the fun stuff. These inner panels look pretty detailed.
The firewall's right there, and they the previous shop actually put those steps in the firewall, which gives it a ton of strength. And then we made all the filler panels here just to shield, you know, the engine. You know, your normal car's got splash shields in it, but you know, these are all hand fabricated, and they look way cooler than a factory stamped GM one would. But we even made covers, you know, to cover the master cylinder and the clutch cylinder. So, you know, it hides it all. It makes it look really clean. You just have to take a few bolts out if you have to do any service work.
Yeah.
Also, the inner
A few bolts.
a few stainless bolts.
Yeah, you can't see the anything from the inside or the top or the bottom.
They're there, trust me.
Yeah.
Like the inner fenders, though, you know, we step rolled them to kind of mimic everything else that was going on in the car. But you know, when we put the car together, you didn't have there was no barrier between the top of the tire and the inside of the fender. And if you hit a rock, throw a rock up, it'd ding the fender. So we made those inner panels, you know, nice step rolled. And it gets a little, if you look up front, it gets a little intricate right there with the way it's all curved. And we've got all the inner fenders, and then there are the brake ducts. I mean, they were going to be functional brake ducts, but it got so tight, and we put such a big tire in here, really, to get a hose in here, and it didn't make sense. They're not going to race this car. So we just made just a duct to blow kind of on the bead of the tire. It still get some airflow under here to help cool, but not functioning like would be on your race car.
Yeah. I wouldn't think that they would push this car that hard anyways.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't if it was fine.
I'd just try to cruise and look cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a lot that goes on under here. You know, we get up here, it's where we start tying in all the bumper and stuff that, you know, that we'd made here. You know, to me, a lot of this stuff isn't that big a deal, because I mean, that's what we do. We fabricate and we make stuff, but I know a lot of the people out there, they want to know kind of how we arrived at what we did. So, you know, even off of the splitter here, we got a little bottom pan for the duct work, you know, to make sure the air just doesn't swirl out of here when it hits this lower grill opening. It shoves it up towards the radiator. Didn't put sides in it like in a race car, but you know, it's got more, I guess, directional, whatever you want to call it, manipulation than a street car would. A street car would just be open right there. So, what do you think? What do you think underneath?
I like it. It's pretty sweet looking. You were absolutely right when you said that we needed to see the underneath of this thing.
I mean, it's like when you were a kid and put model cars together, you know, and you wanted to take that little paintbrush and touch everything and make it look cool. That's the cool part of our job, is when we get to do stuff like that. It's like your childhood memories. You're putting model cars together. So
yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Walkthrough Wednesday. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on all of our social medias: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you have a car like this or anything that you want to get some aftermarket work done to, or some restorations, be sure to call us or check out pettysgarage.com.